What's going on, everybody? It is the MOSHCAST. Your host, Almighty Sai, a.k.a. Jesus did have a wife. Look it up. We have a special guest today. None other than the guy that does everything, the jack of all trades, the Derek of all trades, Derek Porterfield.
Hey, man, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm stoked to be here. Thank
for
you.
For sure. I'm glad that you came too. I have a lot of degenerates on. I feel like you're the least of them, the people that have been on here. You know,
I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment, really. Like, I don't fit in. I was called for the show that we did just the other night. I was called because I was the one that they assumed was the most responsible adult. So that I could bring a license to Guitar Center because I was the only one without one that was expired, right? So I get it.
You're the guy that when the cops come, you go, "Hold on, guys," and they're like, "Oh, it's Derek. Oh, okay, we're good. And you're like, "It's straight.
I'll talk to him.
Dang.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I'm the goody two shoes, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that image. That's all right.
Right. I feel like you have like a little bit of a dark side, a little crazy side.
I hope so. I mean, I like to maintain a little aura of mystery. So maybe I'm carrying that around.
Heck yeah, man. How you been? You been
Dude,
doing okay?
It's been great. It's been great. You know, I've been privileged enough to be playing quite a few shows here recently, and with some incredible people, yourself included.
Oh, thank you.
We just finished that house show on, I guess that was Saturday.
Yeah.
And truly one of the best shows I've ever played. Like, I've really, really enjoyed it. It was just the vibes there were different than most of what I'm used to playing. You know, there's one of my bucket list items has been, since I started playing when I was like 17, was to play a house show, because like there's the punk rocker inside of all of us. It doesn't matter what your genre of music is, you always have a little punk rock inside of you.
Yeah.
You want just a trashy house show to play with a bunch of like kids that are just ready to rock. And that's what we got. And it was just so good. And you know, Lil God and Jordy and who were the kids at the end? That it was their first show ever. And they completely blew off the roof.
Shout out to New Era. They're a group that just kind of popped out of nowhere, because I started talking to them, and they were like, "Yes, our first show. This is our first like little thing that we're doing." And I was like, I usually know people. Like, I know, like, I usually know when people are either like on YouTube or like on Instagram or whatever. I was like, I haven't seen any of y'all.
Very first time I ever saw them, and they completely blew me away.
Yeah.
Absolutely great showmanship. More comfort on the mic than I think anyone that I've ever seen. And these kids absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, they just like they had that group of people that just came up front and they just blew it out of the water.
Oh my gosh, I loved it. I loved every second. I can't wait for their next set. I want to be at all their shows.
I heard that they're gonna be doing something the next this coming up Saturday. I don't know if it's gonna happen or not.
Well, and there were like 20 of them in the group. It felt like Brockhampton. You know, like I was watching them and I was like, I have no idea who's performing right now, but they were all so talented. You shouldn't be that talented. Stop making me self-conscious as the 34-year-old in the room.
Well, I walked in because they said it was going to be at 6 o'clock, and then I was like, well, they're probably going to do a sound check and they're going to get everything set up. And I was there like at 5. I was there at 5 o'clock sharp. Nobody was there. Nobody.
No.
And I was like, what the heck, guys? Like, at least give me some type of warning where it's like it's casual. It's not formal or anything. It's just casual. Just go in, you know.
Did you wear a tie?
I wore a tie.
Up and
I was like, well, I can't look like this, so I had to go to Burlington Coat Factory, you know. But
no, I respect it. You got to keep the punk and punctual, you know.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I you know, you say like you're the you're the guy that people go to for whenever, you know, trouble hits the roof and stuff, and I'm kind of the granddad, the guy's like, hey, you drank a little bit too much. You okay? Hey, the guy's tripping out over there. Make sure he's got a lot of water. It's fine.
Yeah. You're the DD. You're the guy that's there to take care of people. I love that. I respect that.
Because everybody was like, "Hey, you want some of this?" I'm like, "Nah, bro." Because like literally, I had to work right after. I had to work right after that gig and stuff, and I usually do anyway. So I was like,
wait, later that night you worked?
Yeah.
Where do you work?
I work with the newspaper.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I do the country, the small town routes.
So you go like midnight.
Yeah, I go. So that gig, they texted me and said that the truck was already leaving. So I was like, all right, I got an hour or so. So whenever we went to that after party, I was already getting ready for work because they were like, it's already coming. So I was like, I got like maybe like an hour and a half until I have to be there.
My guy, you put on 2 killer shows.
Well, thank you.
And then you went and worked.
Yeah, I went and worked until 7:30 that morning.
I'm very impressed. Like, I had no idea that was why you left. I'm very impressed. I don't think I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could rock a show and be like, all right, I'll see you guys later. I gotta go make money.
I gotta go make some guap.
No, man, I went to sleep. It's midnight.
Yeah. People are like, what the heck? You're going to work right now? And he's like, are you drunk? I was like, no, bro. I've just been chilling. I've been getting high and drunk off the vibe, you know.
Yeah, dude. And the vibes were great, and their studio was cool. The kids were cool. I mean,
which was crazy because that studio, I didn't know it was there.
Yeah.
At all.
A little hidden gem out there, man. just a hidden gem. I had to follow my friends over there because they were like, "Oh, you know where it is?" And I was like, "I have absolutely no idea where that."
No idea.
The furthest I've gone down the street was Rumor's Bar when I was like 21.
No shit.
Yeah. So like I don't. Everything past there was just like this black hole of unknown, and the fact that there was that magical space portal of music creation was just awesome. I mean, it was great.
I want to get into their studio. Shout out to fucking New Era. I want to get in y'all's studio and stuff and see what your sound is actually like. You know, I could see some really good potential with them, and you know, who knows? Maybe they'll get Amarillo on the map or something for like some type of producing company. You know,
well, man, I'll be honest. Those kids are going to do something. I mean, they are too immensely talented for us to not start hearing about them literally all the time. They're really, really fantastic.
They have
musicians.
the hype. They have the hype. You have the hype, New Era.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Come on. But yeah. So you know, you've built a name for yourself here. It sounds like.
You know, I hope so. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do.
How long have you been here? Like, how long have you been in Amarillo?
Too long. Way too long. You know, I've been here at least 20 years.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's been a long time. I left for college for a little bit, and you know, I've been playing music since I was like 17.
Yeah.
So a little while.
Right.
And this town, we talked about this briefly before we started recording.
Right.
But.
Right.
I sincerely believe that this town tries its best to kind of squash out creativity or creatives in general.
Right.
And here's what I love. The people that you're seeing, like the New Eras and the Jordy Ryans and yourself, I watch them and they are thriving not because of this environment, but in spite of it, and that makes it even more beautiful. That you know, it's that rose in the middle of a desert, right? Like when you find it, you latch onto it, and you're just like, oh my god, this is made even more beautiful and more poetic, despite your circumstances, despite enormous odds to the contrary.
Yeah,
they're doing incredible things.
Right,
you guys are doing incredible things. So it's a city I'm not happy about. It's a city I don't enjoy living in, but it's a city that I think the struggles kind of shape your art a little bit, and I know that it shaped one of your songs.
Yeah. F Town. It's gonna. So I don't have a whole bunch of my songs on any platform, but
if you gotta fix that.
Yeah, if you go onto undeniablemisfortune.com, that's where all my stuff is. And I have an underground like system that I'm working on. That's kind of like not in this area.
Okay.
I have. People,
is there a reason you're not on Spotify? Is there a reason you're not like?
The reason that I'm not. I'm a very patient person.
Ooh,
I'm very patient.
We're different in that way.
It took me a long time to do this, but it's taken me a longer time to do my music, not because of just I want my stuff perfect.
Yeah.
My first album, it is perfect in the sense of whenever you listen to it, you know that it's homemade, and that's what you were going.
That's what you're going for. Right.
That was last year. I made that album. This year, I was going to make an album, and I listened to everything that I've done, and I said, this is not it. So I had to redo it. So I don't know how long it's going to take me for a new album, but everything that I've done has been like, it'll happen when it happens. It'll be done when it's done, and, you know, whatever it takes, it'll take.
I respect that. I don't understand it, but I respect that, you know? Like, I'm almost the polar opposite. I'm the least patient person in the entire world, I feel like, sometimes, you know? And I blame it on my generation, but I think really it's just maybe bad parenting. I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like, if anything, children bring out the patience with us.
I'm not saying with my own child. I'm saying my parents did a bad job with me, and maybe that's why I'm so impatient. Like my kid's an angel. My kid's awesome.
And you will not tell me otherwise.
No, she's a little badass. I love her to death. And honestly, I mean, I feel like a lot of parents say this, but I definitely learn a whole lot more from her than she learns from me.
Yeah. How old is she?
She's 9. She's 9.
Oh,
Yeah, just turned 9.
My daughter's about to be 5, so I got.
That's such a great age, though, man.
It's
like 5 is so cool because they are very much in their own element, and they start pushing back a lot harder.
Yeah,
I love it. I love all of it.
So let's dive deeper into Amarillo and why are you still here?
So the daughter is a big part of the reason.
Yeah.
I otherwise probably would have moved away, but her mom lives here, and so we are co-parenting her here together. And there are definitely worse places to live in. I can think of maybe one or two, like Midland would probably be worse.
Yeah.
That may be it. So Midland, then Amarillo, that's the bottom of the list, right? Yeah, Grady, New Mexico. No, and so there's a little bit of that. I sincerely hope that as my daughter grows up, she is not weighed down by the same things that I was weighed down by living here. And there's a lot of female hate here, if that makes sense.
Really?
So and this was hopefully it's going down. Hopefully it's getting a little bit better. I actually don't think so. I think largely you're looking at the political discourse here.
Okay.
Being such that it is much more favorable to us as dudes than it is to girls. And I'm trying to come up with like a polite way to say all of this, but truly you have a lot of people that do not respect what I think a lot of women are bringing to the table. And so being a dad of a daughter in a town like this is one of those things where like I want to see her succeed in massive, huge ways and be that main character.
Yeah,
and
100%.
So that's kind of what we're pushing towards. We're fighting for it. So.
For sure.
Yeah.
Going into like what you're doing, there's a lot of stuff that we're going to touch up on, and hopefully we can have more podcasts with you, but because you do so much, you do so much.
Too much, maybe.
But whenever I first met you, it wasn't at the Leftwoods gig. Was it Marshall's Tavern?
It was pretty recently, I think.
Or was it Leftwoods, I think?
I'm pretty sure it was Leftwoods because you were opening up for a couple other guys, and I think Native Crowds was there that night.
Yeah.
But Jordy was playing.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, and that was the very first night I met you, and I think like right after that you were like, "Yo, I've got a podcast," and I was like, "Dude, I want to be on your podcast."
Well, because my girlfriend Bex, she's lived here in Amarillo. I haven't lived here in Amarillo. I've only been in fucking Canyon for like a few months.
Oh, really? Really? Where were you?
Friona.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So we mentioned places that were worse. That's one of them. That is definitely one of them.
Yeah, F-Town is for everybody, but specifically, if you want to get into the nitty-gritty, F-Town is about Friona.
See, I always thought it was about Amarillo. That's me
the general,
appropriating your music. That's what I'm doing.
The general population over here, I mean, everybody says I'm from the Amarillo area, so technically that song is pertained to everybody here. Because, I mean, even like with the politics in Friona, so it's basically the same thing over here, too.
It is. Mirror image. I mean, honestly, we're most of the Panhandle until you get to a little more bigger developed cities. Yeah. It's all the same.
Yeah.
And that's not to say I don't love all the people here. I do. I've made some incredible friends here.
Right.
But there's definitely there's that feeling of not fitting in, if that makes sense. And I think that's more than anything the problem that I have here is I've never felt as though I've found my group. I've found that those people that I align with. And so there's always that feeling of, who's it, Kurt Vonnegut, Man Without a Country, right?
Yeah.
So you're just kind of floating around. And then when I do visit the Austins or the Dallas and Denver and those bigger cities feel like home. I walk amongst the big old skyscrapers and stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay.
You start talking to like the locals, and you're like, wow, like I really feel like here,
Yeah. So having that community in other places and finding it so readily and so easily, in particular with shows, I think about like ballroom venues. If you've ever been to the Fillmore in Denver, it's probably my favorite venue. I love it. Remarkable. It has these like purple chandeliers that hang down from the ceiling. It's just immaculate, beautiful, huge. It's great.
Right.
But when you walk in there, you're in there with a bunch of other people that are there to see the same bands as you. Already, you have this shared interest. Already, you're ready to enjoy some live music. What better place to make friends?
Right.
And what is your what's analogous to that here in Amarillo? We all like drinking at Leftwoods. I mean, that's like that's not the same, and I don't like that.
Yeah,
you know?
and even we have the Civic Center, but what are you doing there at the Civic Center?
I mean those are bigger bands, So like I like Shania Twain, so do 1 billion other people, right? Like you're less niched down, and so it's harder to make those friendships, I think.
Right.
But when you're in a room full of 500, 600, 700 other people that are all there to see the same band, some of them are traveled or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I've made some of my very best short-term friendships on those trips where like there's a camaraderie that comes from moshing with other people, sweating with other people, and just screaming lyrics that both of you know. I mean, it's great. It's like a very good vibe, and I hope we're working towards that, but we aren't there yet for sure.
100% we're not there, especially with, a lot of people don't know that, but Amarillo used to have a name. I think it disappeared. And then they tried, I think they're trying to get it back with the upgrades that they're doing with the city. But that's not, yes, that is a part of it, but I feel like that is not what we're trying to get at. I feel like Amarillo is a music town. It was meant to be a music town, especially within the country scene.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But we've lost it. We've lost it exponentially.
I mean, I deeply believe we have some of the most creative and talented people in the state here. Yeah. I really do. We have had some incredible musicians leave this place and come into this place, and we have some incredible artists here. There's a lot of talent. Yeah. And I think it's just a lot harder work sometimes to find other places to enjoy and experience and express that talent sometimes. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that are doing some really great work to try and offset that. The people over at Caliche, I don't know if you've been over there yet, but they're doing some incredible stuff. Really, really smart people, really, really talented people that are trying their best to carve out that art niche here in Amarillo, and I think they're doing a great job.
Well, and they have a really good art program for the schools here. We're a college city. We're a college town. There's so much potential. I feel like we're not even touching what even Lubbock has to offer.
No. But you're also talking about a very different demographic, and part of the reason I enjoy Lubbock so much is that their art community can grow in part because you have that massive college. You have Texas Tech,
right?
And so you have this influx of students and people ready to just digest whatever. I went to, I believe this was last year, maybe in the year before. Went to an incredible outdoor art show with this girl that was playing bass and doing this sweet little beatboxing thing, and there were space heaters and fires all around, and then you walked through this cool little art gallery of just student art, and it was incredibly well done student art. And it felt like the cultural thing that I'm missing here. Yeah. That we're like a hair's breadth away from getting it. It's just we just got to convince Will Ware to throw money in the right place, I guess, because he owns 80% of Amarillo. Let's just give him the other 20%, maybe, I guess, and say, hey man, please be cool. I don't know. It's also been my biggest beef, and I'm gonna rant for a second on this. But
go on.
Something that's always bugged me is there's a mentality of well, if you don't like it here, change it. My issue with that and with anyone that is trying to push that narrative is the same reason I have a problem with anyone that says money can't buy happiness, right? It absolutely can. Up to a certain dollar amount, you're buying happiness with money. Yeah. I think the actual stated dollar amount is $60,000. So once you hit $60,000, you have bought happiness, and anything above that, for sure, you're not buying more happiness because all your needs are met and all that kind of. But yes, you do buy happiness up to $60K. Yeah. By the same token.
You give me something. You give me $2. I can have a sandwich. That's happiness right there when I'm hungry.
Damn right. Boom. I don't know where you're buying a sandwich for $2 though, and you need to drop that info ASAP.
Well, you gotta make it at the fucking store. You can get a loaf of bread.
You're picking up deli meat for $2, my guy. Yeah. So no, but that same concept applies to changing the environment you are in to be more accommodating to whatever you're thinking. You can only do so much when you are fighting against culture. You can only do so much when you are fighting with less money than the bank that owns this town, right? So I don't like that mentality because I think it puts too much onus on these artists and these creators, and then if they find failure, they feel as though that's their failure to carry, and I don't think that that's the right attitude for any creative to carry around, because it's hey man, you're still doing good work. You are still accomplishing incredible things that should be celebrated. Let's let's celebrate that and not bum.
Right.
Just because you didn't have enough money to make it grow, or just because people here didn't latch onto it. Because I guarantee you take any artist you like here, name them, throw them into Dallas, throw them into Austin, and they will thrive.
100%. 100%.
That's my rant.
And I feel like there is politics in with like the music scene and with the art scene, and like, you know, like you said, when people thrive here, it's a good thing, but it leaves the people that are trying to build something out in the snow or the rain or whatever. And I've been a part of some country bands here in Emerald, and they do great. They do phenomenal. I mean, I was making money, but I wasn't doing what I wanted. I wasn't doing my music. I wasn't playing what I wanted, because I was a drummer. You know, I wanted to play something new. I wanted to play something I haven't heard of. I wanted to do something. You know, and if you have that, and you want to use your that scheme where I'm going to play country music, and right here is the best place to do it, and I make money, go for it. Be my guest. But like you said, it leaves out the potential of your true form, your true art, and that's where people get stuck to, where it's like, oh, if you want to subtract yourself from that scene and do your own thing, well, you might be the only fucking person that does that. Right. You know, or you might have a group of people that is for you, but they're in the same boat you are. And they don't have like where it's like, oh, let's do at Marshall's or whatever. Let's go to Marshall's, but they have like the same country bands that play every single fucking weekend, and you are doing something different. Nobody's gonna want to listen to.
Right. Well, and that's where you're trying to carve out.
Yeah.
And I think you're doing a really good job. I didn't know you had a country background. I think that's cool. I think you're doing a really good job of playing your own stuff now, finding the right audience for that stuff, because you found this group.
Yeah.
And obviously, you were killing it. I mean, you were killing it the other night. You did a really, really good job.
It was my second show, by the way. That was my second show. And
you played it like it was your 100th. I mean, it really was. It was very, very talented stuff.
I've been on the stage since I was 6.
I mean, it shows.
So,
it shows. You had no nerves. I mean, you really, you killed it. And I think that's the balance all of us creatives are trying to find, right?
Yeah.
Is how do you do the thing you love and then pay for it? Right. Because I mean, very rarely are we able to do the thing we love and also have it pay the bills. And even if you do get to do that, eventually that becomes something you don't love anymore, because it's paying the bills, and you have to do it even when you don't feel like it. So that balance is really difficult. It's something I'm still struggling with. Something I'm still trying to figure out.
So you're doing your music and stuff here. You're doing your music here for now. Let's say that the chapter is not finished, but we're gonna say you're doing music here now. What is the scene for you like? What is whenever Derek steps on a stage? What is it?
Well, so you know, I still travel a lot for music, and so it's not just limited to here.
Right.
But here, this is such a strange question now, because as an older guy now, I am looking at music a lot differently than I did when I was younger. So when I was 18, 19, music was this thing that I was like, okay, I'm going to put out these records. I'm going to tour with these records. And then I will have an audience, and I will make my living touring the United States, playing music. That isn't something I'm trying to do anymore.
Okay.
And the reason for that is a touring musician is a bad dad a lot of times, right? Like that. It's just like, especially when you were co-parenting, like I can't take her on the road with me. So that's no longer the goal. It's not really in the cards. So it's been a lot more fun, if that makes sense. Like there's less of this. There was a pressure when I was younger of like, man, I've got to do this the right way, and I have to have my release strategy ready for this, and I need to promote in this way.
Right.
I don't care anymore about the clout portion of it.
Get out of here. Get out of here. I'm doing something.
So what's been nice is a perfect example is that show on Saturday. I was not fitting into that lineup, right? Like we have a bunch of fantastic rappers and like these guys that are just throwing out party music, like music that you want to jive to. And I write like Midwest emo, you know? So like I write something you cry about your ex-girlfriend to, right? And still those people were so receptive and very, very cool to hang out with. And that was that's what I love about this community. That's what I love about all the artists that I've been able to meet and hang out with. It's just been wonderful.
Right.
So,
and you said whenever you stepped up, you're like, I'm here to change the vibe. You definitely did change the vibe.
I changed the vibe, yeah.
But the thing is like you changed the vibe in the way that people were actually listening. I mean, shout out to everybody that was at that gig and stuff. But whenever I go to a gig, very seldom, unless I'm outside, very seldomly you will not see me, but like watching the people, watching the artists, because I'm a very detailed person. if I listen to a song, I listen to it from the beginning to the end. And whenever you got on there, from the start all the way to almost the end, I was there listening, and you did change the vibe. But then I was wondering, I was like, so what is Derek? What is his music? Like, what's his genre? Because like a lot of people like to put us in this area too. A lot of people like to put us in like a rock category or country or whatever.
Right, right.
My best analogy that I could do of you is, I don't know if you know who Frank Turner is, but Frank Turner.
That sounds familiar, but no, I don't know him.
He has the same vibe as you.
Well, I mean, he sounds handsome. He sounds handsome. I'll tell you that.
And that's why I told my girlfriend, I was like, I vibe with Derek, and she's like, why? And I was like, because when I was getting into my music and stuff, Frank Turner was the person I listened to, and he was from I think he was from like overseas. He was an overseas guy.
Okay.
But it's like like you said, emo rock, sea leg type of vibe.
Yeah,
and that's what I felt with you. You know, you went up there and you're like, fuck it, I've just got my guitar. I don't even have a mic stand.
Yeah, man.
And I'm going to go up there, I'm going to do my thing. And I was like, no shit, we're just doing it. We're doing it today. That's what we're doing.
Shout out Sadzilla for holding the microphone. So do you know why we didn't have a mic stand? We had two mic stands there.
Yeah.
But because the mixing board we got from Guitar Center it had an improper power input, or the power input was not working. It didn't have phantom power for the microphones, right? So thankfully, Christian from Potion brought his wireless mic. But those wireless mics, they're a little bigger, right? Like diameter-wise, they're a little bit bigger, and they have custom clips if you're going to put them on a mic stand. Because most of the time, if you're buying one of those, you're holding it, right? So no one carries that around. I was the only one that really needed a mic stand, and so thank God, like Sadzilla was there to be like, oh yeah, man, I will be your human mic stand. I've never felt so powerful.
I wish they would have brought me to Guitar Center when they got that stuff, because I would have known. Like if I saw that board, I was like, bro, why are you working here? Get the fuck out of here. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And we had to rig it all up. We had to rig all that stuff up. I was like, bro, I use these boards. I used this specific board one time for my podcast.
Yeah.
I know what this is for. This is not for sound. This is not for live sound.
Well, and I mean, they were. It was a tough situation, day of the show, trying to figure out like, what are we doing for a PA? What are we doing? And I sure as hell don't know what I'm doing. I'm a guy that barely knows how to plug in my guitar.
When you get into a store that is supposed to be for sound, and you go in, I need a soundboard for live. Obviously, you should fucking
frustrating.
Know shit,
It's a frustrating situation. And I mean, after we got that other mic though, the sound was great.
Yeah, everything was good.
Sound was killer.
Everything was straight.
I felt bad. Your set, you were having to struggle through with the weak mic.
Yeah, I'm loud anyway. So
you were, man. Like I heard your voice anyway. You can belt it. You can belt it. I appreciate that.
The first gig that I did, I lost my voice for a few days, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna check myself. I wrote a list. I was like, don't go too hard, and I'm too fat for this. I need to exercise for real.
So I for any sort of singing stuff, singing, screaming, whatever, all we're doing. If you're not used to doing it all the time, it feels like those days. I had this conversation with a friend recently after the pandemic. We were isolated for so long, and then you go around and you hang out with people and you talk all evening, and then you go home and you're like, damn, why is my voice going out? That's what it feels like. But performing, if you do that your first night, for me it lasts like 2 days. You're sipping on tea and you're like, man, I hope I didn't screw up my voice.
Yeah, like, you start thinking that you're getting sick or something.
Yeah, it's like laryngitis. It feels like laryngitis.
Like,
yeah. It's weird.
And I was like that I was literally like that for a few days. I think I did Little God's podcast with a messed up voice. I think that's the one that I did with the messed up voice. It was either that or Smokey B and Swammy J's podcast. But either way, one of those podcasts you're gonna hear me, it's gonna sound like a fucking toad. I got run over by a bus. But a beautiful toad nonetheless. Yeah, beautiful toad. Yeah, because I try to be.
I feel like I need a cool name. Like we're talking about like all these other guys. Like you got Emerald Psy, we've got Lil God, we've got Sadzilla. Like I need a cool name. I'm Derek Porterfield, man. Like
that's pretty good. I mean, you got a whole bunch. I mean, like once you put because here's the thing with me is like my real name, and everybody like even like Sadzilla, he was like, I thought your name was Braxton the whole time. I was like, no, it's not Braxton. I mean, it is my name. That's my real name, but my stage name is Almighty Psy, and nobody knows that.
Yeah,
because they didn't know that I rapped, right?
Right.
But then there's also people that are like, oh, you're from MOSHCAST. So I'm like, bro, like just pick a name, bro.
Yeah,
Just do it, man.
Well, you know, it's that's something I feel like a lot of creatives struggle with is it's the branding side of the creativity, right? Like you're doing all these projects, you're creating, man.
Yeah,
like you're not worried about like how does this work within the machine of marketing, right? Yeah, that's not what you're trying to do. You're out here trying to make some music.
I'm just doing it.
I love that.
Going back to what you were saying, you know, you don't like you're feeling happier. It's more fun that you're doing this right now without touring and stuff.
Right.
If you look at Sadzilla's stuff, all of his views are from online.
Oh yeah, and outside of Amarillo.
Yeah, outside of Amarillo.
Yeah,
it's insane. It's literally insane what Sadzilla is doing for himself just in a studio.
Yeah. Well, and he's put out some very killer music. I mean, he's creating some great stuff, and I'm happy that he's found an audience.
Yeah,
And
well, that's what I was saying. Like, if I know for a fact that if Sadzilla can do it, I fucking can do it. You could do it.
Everyone can do it. Yeah. I want people to be chasing it with the same gusto.
Yeah, it's a big world and it's changing. I mean, Facebook is now changing its name to Metaverse.
Yeah,
Metaverse is becoming. I don't know what the fucking Metaverse is going to be, but like I've been hearing some stuff where we're going to be starting seeing concerts like in VR.
Yeah, because they bought Oculus.
Yeah, and it's a big huge change for our physical a physical presence, where it's like we could be there, but not there at the same time, and it's a crazy thing to talk about.
I love it and I hate it. There's a balance there. I think it's remarkable for people who otherwise could not attend certain things. VR is incredible. I also love the accessibility of VR from a my best friend lives in Florida, and so we were talking about getting a VR headset as a way to kind of like do shared experiences. It's like, hey, we can watch movies or we can like play games together with like these VR headsets, and it's a lot more akin to hanging out in person, which is what we do through Rocket League and Call of Duty and whatever other games. But there's this other component of it's Facebook that owns Oculus, and that's terrifying.
Yeah.
But then there's also that feeling of disconnection that I feel like has become more profound the older I get, and perhaps that's really more just me saying there are new things and I don't understand them and they make me scared because I'm old. I hope that's not what it is, but I really do think that there is something lost as we further remove ourselves from what you and I are doing right now. Where I'm reading your facial expressions, we're having a conversation with a lot more calm back and forth. There's no latency right here. Like my ping time doesn't matter right here, right? I'm not struggling with AT&T.
It's not like where you're getting a text message from your girlfriend and you're having like a conversation and she says something and you're like, is she saying it with that tone or is she saying,
you got to consult the voice. You got to.
You're like, I need to call in a friend real quick.
Yeah.
It's not like
what's this mean? What's this mean? Yeah, there's nuance there. I absolutely believe in it being the future, and it's as a piece of tech, as a tech guy, I like technology. I love the tech that goes into it. There's just always a little bit of trepidation. And I think a large part of that is just because of who owns it. I don't like Mark Zuckerberg, right? I don't like any of those guys.
100%. I mean, they what do you call it? They shut down a few weeks ago, or Instagram and Facebook. They just disappeared for a second.
They had a bad time for a little bit.
Conspiracy thought it was to delete all of the information that they got from the teens that run the apps and stuff, but we don't have to get into that or anything.
I mean, I don't know anything about that, so I would not be the consultant.
Yeah, there's a statistic scientifically proven that 75% of the teenagers that roam Instagram and Facebook are depressed because of what Instagram and Facebook push to these kids.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's just teens though.
No, definitely not. I mean, I'm sitting there like, oh fuck, I could look like this. Damn.
Yeah.
And they push food, and it's just really bad when the whistleblower came out and did that 60-minute. Facebook and Instagram was deleted from the face of the earth. And when that happens, it's usually that they're going to go into trial and like, we don't have the information anymore. We don't know. It's inconsistent. And if the government kills me today, you know why. Yeah.
I'll be watching. See, my FBI agent keeps pretty good tabs on me, so he'll have some notes for you. That'll be good.
But I think we can chill out for a second. I usually shout out an artist.
Yeah.
And their music and stuff. I'm doing a little bit. I'm doing something a little bit different. There's a lot of artists that I have a group Instagram with, and so going down the line of who they are. Today we found Eric Biggs, the lyricist. I think he's from California. But we're gonna listen to Phantom Limb. So it's Eric Biggs, the lyricist. All of his shit's gonna be here, and it's called Phantom Limb. So we're gonna check that out.
Phantom Limb. I was looking for some spiritual amazement, neatly tucked away in a miracle's late attainment. So why this odd fixation on the current updated state of my financial situation? I dish it out without payment, it's just liquid dictation. I can kick and sick arrangements. So get fixed, trained, and played with, restrained by the material chains you exchange your name with. I took a lazy walk along your brains with and finished within minutes, scoffed, what a wonderful day trip. It's the mantra of the escapist. He contrasts the night terrors with aces, hidden up his sleeves to provide him a getaway quick. After all, there's nothing worse than real life, or at least the type of realized lies that it's been stained with. Like as if you can reach preordained bliss if you blanket existence with expensive toys and a thick pay slip. I know you feel this way, but no simple hit is an ailment of feeling displacement. I'd probably perceive it different if my spinal column wasn't gripped in twisted physical containment. But sorry, if I went a little apeshit as of late, my multisyllabic's the only killers to ease the pain with.
There you have it, guys. That is Eric Biggs, the lyricist. That is Phantom Limb. I think that was a little bit of some poetry, which actually goes into what we were just talking about.
You're damn right.
Poetry. You have a Kickstarter coming up, or is it up, or it's up
live
and running?
right now?
Okay.
It's running through December 8th, and it's for my second poetry book. It's called "I Am Not in a Good Place."
Yeah.
And I'm super excited about it, man. We've already hit our goal. I was not expecting people to respond to it as quickly or as enthusiastically as they did, and so I'm humbled, which is a rare thing for me. I'm a very egotistical kind of guy, and it's been really, really cool. And so I'm excited. You know, what the biggest push for the Kickstarter right now is I have a tier in there. You know, it's all set up as like, hey, if you pay this amount, you get this. If you pay this amount, you get this. I have a tier where I will write you a poem.
Okay.
And so I was not expecting people to sign up for this, but like a lot of people have signed up. And so I'm so excited because there's going to be like a section of this book that is dedicated to all those people that essentially funded it, that allowed me to, push out more content. And so I'm handwriting them a letter. That's essentially like, here's your poem. And then we're taking that poem, we're putting it in the book, and it's going to be published. And you know, our love will live forever. So it's
immortalized. Immortalized.
Right. And I love that. And I also love that we're living in a time where I'm able to connect with people in that way. It's a weird, we talked about it earlier, the threshold for production has been lowered. Yeah. And so I want to encourage more people to, I feel as though like my purpose on this earth is for people to look at me and be like, well, okay, if he can do it, I can definitely do it. So I want to be that guy that's like, hey, go publish your book.
Yeah.
Like if you have a thing that you were sitting on, if you have an album that you were sitting on, go release it, go publish it. Like Root Note lets you throw your stuff on Spotify for free. I'm not a big fan of DistroKid, but that's what a lot of the kids are using right now because it's $20 a year.
Yeah, I do TuneCore.
TuneCore's good. CD Baby's good. I mean, there's a bunch of people out there that'll take your money. And then there's a bunch of ways that you can do it for free. So I just want people to create and share. And I feel lucky that I have even a small audience of people that are willing to kind of create with me and help with me and help these projects grow. So that's what the Kickstarter is all about, is kind of growing that community.
Well, I mean, speaking of like, this time right now, I mean, COVID I feel like is a really big part of this. You can even put the employment crisis in this. Yeah. You can put the wage crisis in this. I'm a very chaotic person. I enjoy chaos sometimes.
I get that vibe from you. Yes.
And I have a lot of opinions about the wage war and the employment crisis and all that stuff. And as artists, if you are not working, and this goes to anybody that's listening to this podcast, if you are at a place where the government's actually giving you a little bit of money and you know that they are, and you're just like, I'm sitting on it, I don't want to get a fucking job, do that project. Do it.
Sure, yeah.
Do that fucking project. You're sitting at home, whether you are unemployed or you are getting benefits from the COVID still, do that thing. Do it. I mean, you have all the time in the fucking world. The world out there is burning. You open that door and you're like, holy fuck, I shouldn't have walked out here. The gas is getting high.
Right.
But you're in your house. Do the shit. Do it.
Yeah. And I think we are in a unique place where you don't need anything more than your phone to do most things.
Yeah.
And, the last record that I released, 2 of the songs on there were recorded through an iRig too, which is just like it plugs into your, I used an iPad, but it'll plug into your phone too, and used GarageBand as the way to record it. And then I sent 100%. It off to Nick, my buddy down in Dallas. And, what other time in history have you been able to use something you already have to create something that is like, timeless?
It could be great.
It really is.
It could be great.
Yeah, it's out there forever. I think more people should do it.
Yeah, I mean, when I was learning how to do podcasts and stuff, the one thing that people said that people do not give a shit about the video more than the audio. Like if you get the audio, then you're straight. If you have like a 7 or a 380p, where it's kind of shitty and the pixels are kind of fucked. So what? The audio sounds good. So do it that way. And like you can go to Walmart right now. They have those little mics that you can hook up to your phone, and they might be kind of sucky, but I mean, you get your voice out there. I mean, that's how everybody pretty much started back then anyway.
Well, and if you think about it, the microphone that's just included in your iPhone is of a higher quality than a lot of the microphones that we were able to buy even like 15 years ago.
Yeah, even like this. I'm pretty sure that I never was able to figure out how to connect this piece of shit to this piece of shit. So I had this piece of shit built.
Hey, it works. It works. I love it. I love it. I mean, this is a great setup, and truly, I deeply believe as long as you are passionate about something and you do it consistently, you'll be successful. There's no way you are not successful. So, you just keep doing it.
Yeah, 100%. So my question is for this Kickstarter, is Derek in a good place?
Absolutely not. No, things are good. I honestly, I feel incredibly privileged just because I'm in a weird place in my life where I am, I work for myself. So I'm able to spend more time with my daughter than I think most dads get to do. I get to play music and do these shows and chase passions and what I do for a living.
Make passions
is a passion.
happen for other people.
Exactly.
You said that you were doing you do videography and music videos and stuff like. That's something I might actually hit you up on.
Dude, I would love that. Let's work together. Let's do it. I would love that. That's the whole reason I came out here was just this is a sales pitch just on your podcast. Here's what I could do for you, man.
You need your phone number lined up right here, and it has all the catalogs and stuff.
Yeah, you damn right. Here, let's pull up my portfolio. But it's a cool position. So there's this when you write sad music and you write sad poetry, there's this feeling of I am complaining about a life that a lot of people I think would kill for, and so I don't ever want to seem as though I am ungrateful. But I also am not happy. So I mean, there's that weird balance of I love my life and everything is honestly better than I ever thought it would be when I was a teenager.
Right.
But I enjoy the catharsis of going through and writing through some of the things that are a bummer, some of those losses, some of those things that you struggle with. I like writing about that and hope that in some way the songs that I write or the poetry that I write touches someone out there the way that those things touched me when I was younger. Yeah. I have those, and I think you have this too. I had these bands that I just used their music instead of therapy, for a larger part of my teenage years and early college. And they were, it's almost like a bond that's very different, better than family, where you are just essentially, it feels like you know them. Yep. And it got me through a lot, and I want to be that for someone else. I want someone else to know, hey, everyone feels this way. This, your depression that you were carrying around that feels isolating and feels like you were completely, entirely alone. Guess what? All of us can be sad, and all of us have these rough times, and we will get through it together.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, going back to the music, whenever you grow up and you listen to one of my favorite bands is System of a Down.
Yeah.
And one of the things, in a small town like Friona, music was my getaway to where it's like I can go anywhere the fuck I want and nobody can reach me because of my music, you know. So like I hit like a point of like clarity in one of their lyrics, and it's like the most simplest lyric, but the way they sing it and the way they perform it, it's they say where do we go when the bombs fall, and you know it's basically like that. Like you start coming to a realization where it's like, yeah, things are shitty. You can see it coming. It's gonna hit us hard. We're gonna fucking see the fires. We're gonna see the destruction. But like, where are you gonna go?
Right.
We got this community. If you got people behind you, if you got your friends and stuff, that's the only place you can go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no other place. I mean, if you look at it in the universal standpoint, I mean, this is the giant rock that we were somehow created on, and we're gonna be here forever, and nobody has changed that yet.
Right.
You know, we're trying to go to Mars, but like, are we really going to? Like,
I mean,
you know?
I'd like to.
Yeah,
I think it'd be cool.
I think it would be dope to go see. You know,
yeah, I'm a big fan of their candy bar. They're doing cool things.
That's where they got that
in the chocolate space. They're doing really cool things.
I thought the moon was made out of cheese or something.
I wish. I feel like Neil Armstrong is not letting us in on that secret. Like, it was the best cheese he ever had, and he was like, no, this is just a rock. Don't go there.
Yeah, we're not gonna close
selfish bastard. He's keeping it all for himself. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really good to know that there's people like how you said, you know, you feel like I'm more fortunate than most people. It's like, yeah, but like there's gonna be somebody out there that's gonna read this and they're gonna say, you know, just because who I am, I can feel my emotions. Right. I can feel this way. Well, it's okay to feel, you know.
There's a camaraderie in despair that I've always loved because and I felt this way about me. I'm a big pop music fan, right? Like I love pop music. Right now I'm on a Carly Rae Jepsen kick. I love her. But there's the music that has meant something to me. The music that has stuck with me has been that music that pushes through the dark space, that acknowledges and embraces the despair that we all kind of go through. And that's what I always wanted to create, was something that was a little more powerful, something that was like, hey, like this is important is the wrong word because it's important to me, but it doesn't have to be important to anyone else, right? But these are about things that were important to me, and that kind of gives a ground and clarity to the creation process, right?
Yeah.
So
it goes with your music too. I mean, whenever you were performing and stuff, like, I mean, I was listening to your music and your music videos and stuff, and I can tell that there is a sense of, you know, you start feeling the emotions that person had in their music, you know, and being in that time. Like I tell Bex, like, don't, if I find an album, I'm like, don't talk to me until I'm done with this thing.
Right.
And sometimes it takes me like 2 or 3 listens, because some of the songs are so deep that, like, you know, there's layers of lyrics, and then there's layers of like the guitar. Like, people don't understand, like, the guitar has a voice, and then the piano has a voice, and the drums have a voice, and it's like, once you put all that together, it's like this,
right?
Like you and me.
It's an energy exchange.
It's an energy exchange, and people can listen to it, but sometimes you have to rerun it, and you have to rerun it, and you have to rerun it, and then you get to that point where it's like, this is the song that I've felt like for a long, long time, and these people understand me, you know, and I feel like that is the base part of art, poetry, you know, authors, artists, you know. We're never, the people that are listening are never going to understand exactly what we are feeling, but we can give them a little bit.
Right, and I think, honestly, that's what we're all chasing. When we create, we're looking for other people to feel the same way we do. Right. And it's a very selfish, narcissistic kind of thing to do. But it's very much I'm looking to build my own community that I never found. Right. And through music and through poetry and through all types of art, you're able to build that sometimes, especially now where we've shrunk the world through the internet. We're able to reach people that we never could. I mean, you look at Sadzilla, who has found his audience in a way that he couldn't have 20 years ago. You know, like you just, those tools weren't available. He couldn't have reached that audience. And how sad is that there are so many musicians out there. Yeah, pun intended. There are so many musicians out there that could have found their audience, but were not gifted with all the tools that we have at our disposal. And so, in my opinion, it is wasteful, neglectful, and wrong. Right. to keep your art in the little box that it is, I think it is something where you need to go out there and try and find your audience, because there's someone out there who's gonna listen to you and be like, hey man, have you heard Almighty Sai? this dude from fucking Friona,
exactly,
wrote something that I identify with, and to not find that kid is bad on you as an artist, right? Like part of our job,
right? It's something that we are hungry for.
Yes,
like you said, we want people to fucking listen.
Well, yeah, and I think more than that, you want people to identify with you. Right. You want people to hear the words and hear the creation, and be like, oh yeah, that's cool, like that's a jam. But more than that, you want someone that's like, man, yeah, I am you. Yeah. I am you 5 years ago. I 100%. Am you 5 years from now.
100%.
You know, the reflection that we see in other people, I think, is the coolest part about art. You know, it's really, really cool.
Right. And going back to what I was saying, System of a Down, Immortal Technique, Diabolic, those artists, like you said, they didn't have the power to, you know, and there are people, I'm talking about them right now, but there are some people that are still fans, true fans or whatever. But right now, in this era, in this generation, would have been the best time to have System of a Down, to Immortal Technique, Diabolic, because they were talking about the things that are happening in this world back then in 9/11 and stuff, and overseas in Afghanistan, and it's like people have forgotten what their voices sound like and what they were actually a part of. And it's like, I get upset because I'm like, where are you now? Like, it's just like you put sand in your hand and it's just like coming out from the... And people, you can hold on to so much, but it's all going to fall out one day. And, you know, I will always listen to artists that I grew up with, but at the same time, it's like, it's hard to hold that burden. You know, whenever you're 50 or 60 years old and your daughter or your son is like, what did you listen to back when in the day? And then you're like, oh, you know, and then you listen to this, and they're like, what is that crap? Right. And like, you wouldn't understand.
Yeah. Well, it's a weird thing, and it's something I'm actually fighting against, but there's that push to only touch on the nostalgia nerves, right? Like, you only want to play with the nostalgia nerve. You know, like Blink-182 comes on, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. You know, I grew up with this specific genre of music that feels the way that childhood feels. Yeah. But I'm actively trying. I'm doing my best to not be the dude that is, you know, I don't understand what the kids are listening to. I want to understand what the kids are listening to, and so I'm trying to stay in touch with people who are going to expose me to as much new music as possible, so that I can be like that dude that's like, oh yeah, like this isn't my jam, but I get it, I respect it. It's like what you talked about earlier, where even the guitar has a voice, and every single part of production that goes into that is purposeful. Someone sat down and said, I'm writing this, and it fits here, and this is why. Right. I like that. Even on records that I don't enjoy, I still like listening to that process and being like, okay, several people, maybe 10, 15, 20 people, jumped into a room and all of them collaborated to make this cool piece of art. Right. It's worth looking at. It's worth listening to.
100%. And let's go back to your poetry in this little pocket that we've made. How long did it take you to make this piece?
So the first poetry book was a collection of poems that I'd written since I was like 15, right? So like it, you know, that spanned years and years, and had a mix of newer essays that I was writing, and then older essays, and these poems that kind of spanned what it was from the time I first started writing music to now.
Okay, you know? So there is a music aspect to this thing.
All of this, yeah. So almost everything that I do has this weird tie back to music in some way. Even like my fiction books that I've written. So I've got a couple sci-fi books as well. Those all kind of have this same thread that runs through them of me trying to struggle to process some childhood stuff, right? Like and that's what everyone does. That's what every artist's doing. I'm not unique. And so that poetry book was this cool collection that was kind of me growing up. And so you got to read it and grow up with me. Right. This poetry book was... It was me processing a breakup that wasn't even really like a breakup, you know, because like it's 2021, no one breaks up anymore. We just kind of fade away, you know. But it was a formative relationship that I had. Yeah. no matter how short-lived. And the temptation right now, because Taylor Swift's Red is out, is to compare it to her and Jake Gyllenhaal. You know, because she did Jake Gyllenhaal for like 3 months, and so, but it's not like that at all. There's like no ill will. There's no like this wasn't like a bad blood kind of thing. It was just like this person changed me.
Right.
And thankfully, a lot of art came out of it, new songs and new poems. And so there was that period of I've written all of these things, kind of about her or processing the life that I'm living after her,
right?
And you know, those weird feelings that follow those types of relationships. And then there's also this component of essays and some poems that I've written that are a little more, I would say, like angrier, if that makes sense. Yeah. But not in a relationship sense, and not in relation to her. It's just they're just angry poems of me kind of processing what it is like to be an adult right now.
Right.
So I'm enjoying curating all these poems and like putting them into an order that makes sense. And you know, the first book I have 3 sections, and I'm going to screw it up. But I think it's God, Girls, and Love. God, Guitar, and Love.
Guitar, God, Girls, Guitar.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's honestly how it works out. It's 3 G's, and we have this. You know, each section of life is kind of defined within the context of all those subjects, right? And so I want this book to have kind of a similar categorization. That's what I'm working on right now. Is like, where do I put these?
Right.
Like, how do these fit with each other?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's been fun. So I mean, that's a very long answer to your question, but it's
no. Where do you find time to do the? You have a lot of stuff going on. I wish we had more time to talk about everything in detail, but you have a lot of stuff going on. Where do you find time to do any of it?
You know, it's this as a parent, but there was a life I lived before my daughter, in which I felt as though I had no time at all, right? And the truth was, I had enormous amounts of free time, and I was using it to go to the coffee shop and sit and waste 5 hours with my friends. And that's not a waste; that's the wrong word. I loved hanging out with my friends, but after parenthood, you begin to realize just how finite your free time is. And so, in many ways, she kind of gave me an opportunity to more effectively and efficiently organize my day to be able to do things. So, you know, I wake up, and generally speaking, I try to get most of my actual adult work done before noon, because that's my most productive time. I found is I'm able to focus before noon. I'm very distractible, very easily distractible. And so you may have heard of this website. It's called YouTube. I haven't seen all the videos on there yet, but I'm trying. So
I'm not even halfway there.
Yeah, I don't think I'm even halfway there yet. But I am.
Everybody keeps on uploading every single day.
It's exhausting. So yeah, I will have that like 8 to 12 period where I'm doing like real work, and then in the afternoons, especially on the days when I don't have my daughter, I like to play guitar. And from that, guitar playing is generally like that creative time, right? So I'm either creating videos for, you know, personal projects, or I'm playing guitar, or I'm writing for the poetry, or I'm writing for the sci-fi book. And that all fits in this like, okay, I'm able to be creative now. And then I reach, and this is super important, this is the most important part, at 9 o'clock every single night, I play Rocket League.
Nice.
So
nice.
It's
important.
Yeah, it's very important. That's when the tournament starts. And my buddy and I, he's my best friend that I told you about in Florida. We hop in on there, we catch up, we play, and that is my decompression time. And obviously I can move things around in that schedule, but what's nice about having a schedule kind of like that is that there's not a time when I'm wondering, what should I be doing right now? Right? Like my brain needs this piece of paper that's like, these are the things you have to work on, Derek.
Right.
Because otherwise I'm like, hey, what's on YouTube? And I get on YouTube.
You stay there for 5 hours.
Yeah, and that's not healthy.
Yeah, that's not.
Or TikTok now. Gosh, I'm on TikTok an embarrassing amount right now. So.
Oh yeah.
It's
TikTok. I've been on TikTok, and it's a weird one. Like I'm on YouTube a lot. My job gives me a lot of free time to be on my phone, but that's where I get all of my so like during the day, it's weird. I have free time during the day, and then I kind of have free time at work, but it's not really because I'm at work driving.
Right.
And so like I have an hour to write. I usually write, and then when I get to work, I'll put my phone on my thing. I'll watch a podcast. I'll roll my paper. I'll do my shit. But in that time, it's like I can listen to, I can read like almost anything, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's where I get my inspirations and stuff like that too. And it's one of those things where I found myself getting home at like 3 o'clock in the morning, getting on TikTok, and I look, and it's like I feel like I've been there for 10 minutes, and it's already 6:30.
Yes, yes.
And it's like, what the fuck just happened? You know?
Yeah, yeah. It drains.
That's my spill on TikTok. It's a fucking time drainer. Drainer.
It is. And I love it.
For real, because you just blink your eye and like, oh, this is how much I could waste. That's fine, you know.
Right.
It's whatever.
Right. Yeah. It's well, and it really is a testament to how good our algorithms have gotten at understanding what people like and what they don't like. You know, it's locking you into this little. We're microdosing dopamine all the time.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, I've learned a lot more from TikTok than I ever learned from Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. I've learned a ton from. Like YouTube is kind of how I taught myself.
Is that kind of scary to you? Because like we're saying that, you know, I'm a little bit younger than you, but you're the old, you know, you're the OG.
I'm very old.
You're the OG,
yes.
The little wise man.
Basically dead.
But most of the people that are on TikTok and stuff, they're teens, they're children, you know. Is that scary to have those people watching that stuff? So
here's what I think. I think with any sort of new media, there's a fear from old people like me that's like, man, this is dangerous. And the fact of the matter is, yes, it's super dangerous. It's bad for our brains. But it's just as bad for your brain as almost any other type of thing that you can get addicted to is bad for your brain. So as long as you are learning temperance, I think you're fine. I also have a big issue with parents that are letting their young children on TikTok because there's a lot of bad shit on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of sexual content that is pushed under the rug.
It's the raw internet. Like you would not let that same child hop on Pornhub, but you're letting them on TikTok, which is actively advertising Pornhub, right? Like you have content creators that are pushing, and there's nothing wrong with the people that are doing that. Like the adult entertainment industry is a very valid and you know, it's a career. Yeah. But it is wrong to advertise to a 13-year-old. Yeah. That's not okay.
So and we you know, going to that, it's like we don't blame the porn industry for that. Right. We blame the construct of the app itself, to where it's like you can't do this, and then you find a loophole to where it's like, okay, but I could do this, like Twitch. Are you on Twitch?
I not actively, but yeah, I know what Twitch is.
It's a simple concept, but there was no nudity.
Right.
You can't have any nudity.
So now you have the hot tubs.
But you have fucking hot tubs.
Yeah.
And that's the loophole that everybody found, is like, oh, I can just get a hot tub and I can put it right here, and then I could Twitch and be sexy and stuff like that. And it's like, we're abusing this thing, and it's like really good and it's awesome, but at the same time, then we get the oldies, we get the OGs like us, and they're like, that's something that I don't want my 5-year-old daughter watching.
Well, yeah. You know, it's all about like understanding and gatekeeping those types of content, those types of content creation. There is access to literally everything on the internet anyway. So I think more of that falls on the parents than in anyone else. Right. And you know, it's my job to make sure that my kid isn't on TikTok. It's my job to make sure that my kid isn't searching for things that they shouldn't be searching for. And so, to throw that on the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the TikToks of the world is I think another attempt to shift blame and guilt. Yeah. And I don't like that. So
there you go, parents. It's all your fault. It's all your fault.
Honestly, okay. And this is another soapbox for me. But I deeply believe this. It is. Yeah. When you are a parent, that child did not choose to come into this world, right?
Bars.
So they don't have the option outside of you, right? Yeah. So your whole existence, the rest of their life, which will be the rest of your life, is essentially like, hey, make sure that they are capable, make sure that they are prepared for things, make sure that you are giving them the best and longest childhood you can possibly give them. Yeah. And if they don't love you, that's not their job.
Yeah, it's not their job.
They can hate you. They can tell you to fuck off. Your job is entirely to love them unconditionally, so that you are the metric by which they understand unconditional love.
I've said that many a times on this podcast. And people do not like it. You know, I love my parents to death. I care about them. I care about their well-being, but they know where I stand.
Right.
And I make my daughter understand, because she's like, I want to be a ballerina. I'm like, go for it. Be a ballerina. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But she's like, she'll say some like flipped off word or a sentence like, how are you gonna pay for it? And I'm like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how we're gonna pay for it. You don't have to fucking worry about it. You are my daughter. You are my child. I brought you into this world. It's not your fucking deal.
I love that.
It's not your fucking deal.
Yeah. And part of preserving their childhood is making sure that they understand, like, hey, you get to chase things before you understand how impossible everything feels. Because before you discover something is impossible, that's when you're able to achieve it. Yep. Those are the people that push things forward. Those are the people that are constantly moving our world in profound ways. It is those people that approach things like children do. Right. And so our job as a parent is to enable the impossible. Right. It is to basically say, like, yeah, of course you can do that.
Right. 100%.
You want to fly? Fucking do it.
Fucking do it. People forget that life is all about doors. Mm-hmm. Life is all about doors. You can stay. Let's say metaphorically, you have a family. You can stay with that family for the rest of your fucking life, and they will not say anything to you. You can be in that house for 40 fucking years. You could be a fucking 40-year-old virgin for a God who gives a fuck. Or you can get a job. But until you fucking do something like that, you will not know how it is. Mm-hmm. And so, my daughter could probably stay at my house until she's fucking 50. Mm-hmm. And I will take care of her like she's still my 5-year-old daughter. But until she gets a job, if she does get a job, then I'm going to say, now you have responsibility. Now you have this thing that you have to do. And it's like, you got to pay for bills, you got to pay for your tax, you got to pay for all, but that's a weird analogy of just stating, like, you step into something, make sure you can get out clean, or make sure you can walk right through it.
Yeah, and I think a huge part of our job as parents is setting children up for success as they become adults. So, your job is essentially saying, like, hey, I'm going to show you how to get a job. Yeah. I'm going to show you how to get out there and do, and I try to be very transparent with my daughter in regards to, how much things cost. Like what are our bills each month? Like what does this look like? So that when she doesn't have the problem that I had. Yeah. When she reaches the age where she starts to pay for her own place, she's not like, hey, is $500 a month bad for an electricity bill? Yeah, that's real bad for an electricity bill. Yep. Remember our electricity bill? Like, remember what we talked about? Like that's not what it's supposed to be.
Electricity bills where electricity bills turn off.
Yeah, that's a good one. Your job is essentially to make sure that the world can kind of make sense to them before they are thrust into it, and so they don't drown.
Yeah, a little tip for parents that have a newborn, or not a newborn, but maybe like terrible 2s or terrible 3s. I don't know if this works for everybody, but it worked for me. One day, my daughter tore up one of her dolls or something, tore up a toy. She's just being a kid.
Yeah.
We didn't punish her. We didn't I'm very not, I'm anti-spank. It doesn't work. It doesn't really work.
Psychologically speaking, you should be.
Yeah. But I was like, I wonder how I could fix this problem where she doesn't break anything, her toys that we buy her and stuff. And she, I think she was like 2 or 3 or something around there. And, she showed me the toy, and I sat there and I was like, I'm sad. Like I made sure that I was like, I gotta get my acting face on for real. I gotta do this shit for real. I was like, Phoebe, like you broke this toy. Like, I'm sad, and I tried to pretend as much as I could to fucking cry. But then she got sad too, and from then on, it's been like a year and a half, and she hasn't. Yeah. She hasn't torn up anything. She takes care of her toys like they are her children.
Yeah, remarkable.
So if that works for you, that's a little tip for you for all the fucking adults that have children now.
Instead of shooting your kids in the backyard, you can actually just teach them. Yeah. That's a good idea. That's a better idea.
It's rough here too. We have so much. We could talk so much, man.
I'll come back on. I'll come back on sometime. We'll do this again.
But do you have anything else you want to shoot out with the Kickstarter, man? Like, that's a really big deal.
Yeah, man. So I mean, you can follow me on anything with @thatporterfield. You can also hit up the Kickstarter. It's on my Instagram, which is @thatporterfield. And you can find my music, find my books.
When is that going to stop? When is the Kickstarter going to? November?
December 8th. December 8th. Yeah. So it runs for a month. I'm going to be doing a show tomorrow night at Aunt Eeks. By the time this is released, that won't matter. But I'm playing quite a few shows this month. I'm trying to kind of get out and about, and also just enjoy a month where I didn't have as much scheduled. And
Right.
so it's kind of nice to be able to be like, you know what, I'm going to play some music and I'm going to go read some poetry. So tomorrow night's going to be a very intimate kind of performance, and I'm hoping to see a bunch of other people out there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Anything else you want to shoot out?
No, man, I appreciate you having me on, dude. I really do. This was a blast. You're so much fun to talk to. You did a great job. I appreciate this, man.
We can
Thank you.
go for hours.
I know. I would love that.
When you have time, we need to do like a 2-hour special. I do these 2-hour specials where we get a few beers and
let's do
talk it out. You can't say a lot of things on here, but I try my best.
Yeah. No, I that sounds great, and we'll get it worked out. We'll schedule it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you know who I am. It's Almighty Sai. You can find me on YouTube at MOSHCAST with Almighty Sai. My Instagram is almighty_s.i.g.h. You can hit me up on there if you are musically involved, and I will listen to your stuff. If you found us on YouTube, look for us on our website at undeniablemisfortune.com. Merch, albums. Shout out to Grim D. Shout out to Kyle the Chosen, LJ. All the motherfuckers are on there. You can get on our email site, and you can get all the new hot shit that's going to come up in the next near future. But before I close out, I always fuck it up. So I'm going to get ready for it. Because for some reason at the end, it's like, I forget. I'm like, I got to get this done, and then I forget. But like always, guys, we'll see you next week. And go fuck.
My name is Derek Porterfield, and this is a song called What Would a Martyr Do? It goes like this. And I wonder sometimes what it must be like up in heaven, chilling, killing time there with the chosen few, hanging out, complaining about those songs we singing now. There really isn't all that much to do. But I'd miss my friends and how, 'cause heaven ain't the same here without you. And I wonder sometimes about Jesus Christ, and if it bums him that his dad just left him hanging on those sticks. Omnipotent Savior chose an arms wide open, and your father wouldn't move. No, your father wouldn't move. I'm just saying I'm a dad, and that's not something I could ever do. But I don't see you. Oh, I give my finger to St. Peter, say I need to crank the heater, jump into the flames to find you. Saw those holes in your Savior's hands. The one in my heart looks just like you. So what should I do? Sticks to get to you. My halo and wings are such fragile things, I'd rather feel stronger next to you. All of my dreams are imperfect things without the light and truth of you. So what the hell would Jesus do? Thanks, man.